What's going on, everybody? I'm back on the Prizepicks college football player props video. This one going to be breaking down this Sugar Bowl matchup tonight between the Texas Longhorns and the Washington Huskies, giving you guys not one but two six-man flexes that I am running tonight for free on the channel. Going to be breaking it down, some variation, some positive correlation, hopefully giving you guys two full sweeps in this one. If you enjoy the content, would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload, guys. It is free. It takes 2 seconds to do. It does really help me out. I'll be helping you guys out with these Prizepicks videos all season long. We got the college football bowl action going on right now. This is the first video I've been able to get out. We've had some success over in the VIP, stacking up these college bowl games and hoping to do it again tonight with this one. It should be a really good game tonight. Great total, close spread. We're looking at a 62.5 over under 170 money line as far as Texas being favorited with only a 4-point spread though. So there's expected to be some points put up in this one. We have two really solid offenses, and like I said, I have two six-man flexes that I'll be running here tonight. I already locked it myself, already sent it over to the VIP 2024 full speed ahead, guys. If you're really looking to get serious, you're enjoying this free content, the VIP member package is going to be where it's at. I'm going to be providing as much value as possible for free, really ramping it up. I'm giving away VIP plays a ton lately, and I'm going to try to continue to do that, not only on Prizepicks, but every single partnered app with KJK DFS. So if you didn't know, I covered Prizepicks, Underdog Fantasy, Better, Sleeper Picks, Parlay Play, and Thrive Fantasy. As long as the industry continues to grow and more apps are released, I'm probably going to be covering those as well. So really excited for 2024. Like I said, not only am I going to be ramping up the premium content, as always, that VIP member package, but the free content. I'm going to just be giving you guys more value for free. So if you're appreciating it, hit that like button, subscribe. Last video that I released, guys, 75% of people were not subscribed. So, I'm going to keep pumping out this content, but it really would be greatly appreciated if you do appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button. Let people know down below in the comments to hit the subscribe button. And let's get into the important stuff, the picks, what you came for. And we'll break it down. Like I said, I'm going to have two full six pick flexes for you guys in this one. And we will break down exactly why we're running what we are running. So we'll start on the Texas side here. And going to be stacking up. First, it all starts with the quarterback in Quinn Ewers and his ability to throw the ball down the field. How has he been looking this year? Fantastic. He's got an 83.8 pass grade, 84.9 offensive grade. Much more of a pocket passer, only a 62.7 rush grade, but we're not too worried about that with what we're going to discuss in this video as far as how we're approaching it. And then when we look at the wide receivers, the tight ends, the threats on the Texas side, who's been getting the job done this season, there is a very clear top two candidates to be receiving a lot of volume. It's Xavier Worthy with the 113 targets, and then you got Mitchell with the 78 targets. Both of these guys right around a 75 receiving grade, which is fantastic. Both guys really not dropping the football, and both guys displaying a really solid average depth of target ADOT rating here. You can see 16.3 for Mitchell, 9.9 for Xavier Worthy. So what does this mean? Average depth of target. So obviously, Worthy, on average, is about 9.9 yards down the field when he's being targeted with the football. Mitchell is about 16.3, so they're both getting down the field. Both have been very effective. You look at Xavier Worthy's breakdown, really been effective in this 10 to 20-yard range, specifically over the middle between the numbers. 14 targets, 8 catches, 155 yards over the middle. Been really solid in the 0 to 10-plus yard range as well. 89 and a 96.1 receiving grade on the outside there. So Xavier Worthy really putting on a good show all over the field. But like I said, the average depth of target with what we're going to be discussing, targeting some receiving yard props in this one, we want him to be down the field. And then the same story to be said for Mitchell, who has an even better ADOT, average depth of reception, with that 16.3. You can see as far as how he's getting the job done. Really effective on the deep balls, those 20-plus yard catches, 97 receiving grade, and then really effective in the medium range, 10 to 19 yards, the 97.5 receiving grade. So both these guys putting on an absolute show, specifically over the middle between the numbers. 18 catches on 22 targets for Mitchell over the middle with that 96.1 receiving grade. So that 10 to 20 yard range is fantastic. for what we're discussing here with some positive correlation, stacking up these guys with the QB and Quinn Ewers. And if we're able to obviously connect with these two guys and Ewers throwing the ball down the field, that's going to lead to a lot of passing yards, a lot of receiving yards, and an ability for us to attack some positive correlation here in this one tonight. So last game out, specifically the pass volume as well for Quinn was really impressive. He threw the ball 46 times against Oklahoma State. So that is a great indicator for hopefully what we're going to see again here tonight. They were able to come away pretty handily. So this one, like I said, I talked about the spread, the implied total in this one, with it being a 62.5 over under, only a 4-point spread. Hopefully we're seeing a lot more of that here tonight. 46 plus pass attempts is, we would love to see that, man. 452 yards through the air last time out. So clearly these guys are clicking on all cylinders. And then when we break down the two wideouts as far as their stats in that last game, you can see Worthy 6 receptions for 86 yards. And then his friend Mitchell had 6 receptions for 109. So both of these guys, clearly the top 2 targets for Texas. It makes it very predictable as far as where we're looking to go in this one, which we love to see, obviously. We don't really want to be guessing where the ball's going. We want to know. And we do with these guys. Worthy, last time out, like I said, his line set is 76.5 right now on Prizepicks. He was able to surpass this. And then as far as Mitchell's concerned with the 66.5, he went over by a mile, 109, like I discussed in that game. And if they're going to throw the ball like they did last game out, continue to throw it a lot, we should be able to see some more success for these guys. Like I said, with those great ADOT ratings, average depth of target down the field, Worthy being able to connect to them, or Ewers able to connect to them over the middle, and his great passing grades that we discussed as well. So it's the full package here for what you're looking at. We don't want to be relying on a QB that can't connect with his receivers, and we don't want to be relying on wide receivers that aren't getting down the field if we're targeting the over reception yards. And then obviously it's positively correlated, guys. You'll hear this talked about by, I'm sure, many others, including myself. If you're taking the over on the QB's passing yards, then obviously there's a really good chance his main receiving candidates are going to go over as well, because when he's throwing the ball, they're catching it. Pretty simplistic concept, but it really does go a really long way towards being able to cash some full 5-6 man flexes over here on Prizepicks. So that's going to be the Texas side for the first variation, guys, and we'll speed things up for the second variation because it's kind of going to be discussing what we're talking about throughout this first ticket. But Washington side, we have a very similar story here of a pocket passer, really a good passer that went off last week in Michael Penix. And he has some really talented wide receivers on the outside for this Washington squad. We look at how they fared. The other thing I didn't bring up for Texas that I do want to just bring up is the snap counts, guys. Worthy and Mitchell. We're talking like 100% of the snaps for these guys. Mitchell literally played 100% of the snaps. Worthy played 97. Week prior, 100%, 85%. 96%, 74, 94, 85. These guys are playing 80, 90%, 100% of the snaps in these games. In these big bowl games, you can see 97 and 100% last time out. So that's the last thing I did want to bring up for Texas. And then we'll talk about Washington now. So Washington, 3 really solid wide receivers. You got Odunze, Polk, McMillan, all 3 really solid, all really talented. We break down the numbers. Going to be targeting the main 2, the 2 that went off last week. Once again, Michael Penix, fantastic passing grade, a 90.2 passing grade. We look at the wide receiver grades, the targets. The number 1 guy that's going to be misrepresented as far as the numbers are concerned in this video that I'm talking about is going to be McMillan. He's been dealing with a ton of injuries this year. Just really hasn't been as good in the numbers category, but it's because he's been hurt off and on. We'll get to him second, but first guy I want to talk about is Dunze, absolute stud. One of the top wide receivers in the country, 87.9 receiving grade, 88.1 offensive grade, 85.8 drop grade, all fantastic. You look at his ADOT, average depth of target 15.6 for him down the field, which is fantastic. We break down how he's been getting the job done. I mean, the deep ball, he's been just ridiculously good. 7 for 11 on the deep target of 20 plus yards between the numbers over the middle. And then that 10 to 20 range, once again, deadly. 10 catches, 14 targets for 193 over the middle with a 91.3 grade. Over to the outside left, he's got 9 catches, 155, 90.9 receiving grade with those 3 TDs. Just really solid overall. And then the overall grades, he literally doesn't have a single weakness. 99.9 receiving grade on those deep balls. It quite literally cannot get better than that. Of the targets of 20 plus or more yards, 95.8 on the 10 to 19 range, 91.4 in the short range. So this guy's just an absolute stud, and he's got an absolute stud throwing the ball his way, as we discussed with Michael Penix. So that's going to be a fantastic combination. And then I'm going to be pairing the other wide receiver. Just had a huge game last week, and that's going to be McMillan, who, once again, his numbers this year don't look very good at all. But keep in mind, this is a guy that in 2022, if we look back just 1 year ago, went for over 1,000 receiving yards. Like if I go down to the 2022 stats here, you can see the top 2 targets on this team were, once again, Odunze, and second on the list is McMillan, not Polk. Polk's second on the list this year, but I think it has much more to do with the fact that McMillan's been battling some injuries. This guy's an absolute stud. Like last season, we look at his ADOT, 13.1. And then the yards after the catch is what's really impressive for him. Last year, the 5.4 yards after the reception. We look at this year, though. For him, you can see McMillan here, yards after catch per reception, 7.3. So that leads all wide receivers on this Washington squad. Not only ability to get down the field and catch the ball, but the ability to create after the catch has been what's been really impressive for McMillan. And was able to do that last week, and I'm expecting some more success for him in this one. Once again, we're looking for some positive correlations, stacking it up. We look at the numbers for him last week. 9 receptions for 131 yards. So, like I said, that's the kind of talent that we're looking at when it comes to McMillan. It's just been a season of some injuries off and on. Hasn't been able to stay on the field, but he looks good, man. He looks like he's fully back. And then Odunze, there's never a question with him. This guy's an absolute stud. 8 receptions, 102, 7 for 120, 7 for 106, 3 for 111. I mean, he's a lock for 100-plus yards. His line's going to be set according, obviously. But once again, if Penix is going over, we're stacking these guys up. He threw 39 times last week for 319 yards against Oregon. They're going to throw the ball like 40 times on both sides. I think we could see some fireworks in this game. And once again, we're taking advantage of that with some positive correlation on the other side, stacking up the Penix passing yards and then the receiving yards for these top 2 guys in Odunze and McMillan. So hopefully that makes sense. Obviously, we're talking about receivers that are going to be on the field for a lot as well. Of course, we want these guys to be out there for a lot of snaps. McMillan's snap count continues to climb is the last thing. Like I said, you look at the season, there's been multiple games he hasn't been out there. You can see 65% of the snaps last time, finally. Only 56, 52, 8, didn't play this game. 32% on this one, didn't play this game. 10, didn't play. Beginning of the season, we were seeing, 69%, 79%, 85% of the snaps. So it's just been a story of injuries with him. But he finally looks healthy, like I said. Finally popped off last week. So that's why I'm going with him here in the stack. And then obviously these high numbers are positively correlated with, of course, the high number of Penix throwing for 319.5. So the first ticket, we're stacking up the passing and receiving yards. And then the second ticket, I'll just make it quick for you guys because we kind of already discussed a lot on this first ticket as far as the breakdown and the target share and the snap count and all that fun stuff. The second one, we're going to be going with a very similar concept, but we're going to be trying to capitalize and capture the scoring upside and the receptions upside for these guys. So for those of you that don't know, Prizepicks is a full point PPR format, meaning in the fantasy score department, if you're targeting fantasy score, you're getting 1 point for every single reception. You get the 6 points for the receiving touchdowns, 0.04 for every passing yard, and then as receiving yards, you get 0.1 for every receiving yard, right? So we already talked about the total in this game. There's expected to be a lot of fireworks in this one. We have that 62.5 over under 4-point spread. So if the points are going to be scored, there should be not only a lot of passing and receiving yards, but also a lot of passing and receiving touchdowns is the hope to go along with a lot of receptions. So if for some reason these guys don't hit their passing and receiving yards prop, the second ticket that I'm going to be taking, quick little review on this one before I switch, but we're going with the over on Quinn Ewers, over on Xavier Worthy, over on Mitchell, over on Michael Penix, over Odunze, over Jalen McMillan, all passing and receiving yards. And then the second one, we're going with a very similar concept, guys. We're just going to flip it on over to the fantasy score department, where Prizepicks does have these guys listed as well on the board. So in this one, we're going with a very similar stack, right? We're going to stack up Quinn Ewers with his top 2 targets in Worthy and Mitchell, and then we're going to stack up Penix with Odunze and McMillan, all in the fantasy scoring department in this one, right? So this is just taking advantage of the upside of this stack and a different variance, right? So let's say these guys don't really pop off for a lot of passing and receiving yards, but the game is just really high scoring. There's a ton of touchdowns scored, or just some short passes over the middle. There's a lot of receptions, but not quite as much in the yardage. We can take advantage with these fantasy score props, right? So last week, you can see Ewers put up 33 fantasy score. Penix wasn't able to get there in the fantasy scoring department last week. Worthy, same thing. Odunze, not quite there. Mitchell went way over. McMillan went way over. So this is factoring in the scores and all that stuff, right? So we pull up the game logs. As far as last week is concerned, McMillan, 9 receptions for 131 yards. He didn't even get in the end zone, but those 9 receptions, you're getting a fantasy point for every single one of those. So this is another similar stack, right? But we're just targeting a little bit of a different prop with a little bit of a different path to success. This one, maybe these guys each get like 10 receptions. I'm being kind of crazy with it, but I'm just giving you an example. 10 receptions over the middle for like only 5 yards, but they all get in the end zone. They could hit the fantasy score as opposed to their passing and receiving yards prop. But we're still targeting, the QB and the top 2 targets on each side, expecting them to be targeted early, often heavily, and hoping for a lot of receptions and some touchdowns from these guys in this one, rather than needing those big deep plays on the pass and the reception. There's multiple different paths to success this way too. So obviously, we're relying on a lot on the same players, guys. So we're playing 2 units overall. Play 1 unit on each one of these. So if you typically play like $5 a ticket, play $5 on the first one, play $5 on the second one. I already did lock this in myself and sent over to my VIP members. So just to pull it up on the screen for you guys to prove it and give a quick little recap for you. The first ticket we discussed, we're going with the over on passing yards and the over on receiving yards for these QB wide receiver combos, right? So we already broke down the numbers, talked about the target share for these squads. If Quinn Ewers is having a lot of success through the air, Michael Penix is having a lot of success through the air down the field, there's a good chance that Worthy is going to go over, Mitchell's going to go over, Odunze, Jalen McMillan, all going to go over. We're getting some positive correlation, and then we can have a nice 6-man sweep is obviously the strategy and the hope on that one. And then we're taking the same kind of approach on this one. It's just a little bit of a different variance of them being able to get there, right? We're targeting the fantasy scoring format where they can get there via receptions, touchdowns. Obviously, yardage is going to be factored in too, but there's a world where they might come up, a little bit short in the receiving yards category, but they get touchdowns. And then obviously there's a world in which they come up short in the fantasy score, but they hit for their receiving yards. So I'm running a little bit of a variant of both tonight, hoping to capitalize on the upside of this game. If the game doesn't go according to plan, obviously, you might lose 2 units running both these tickets. But if you're smart with your bankroll, run both of them. The game goes according to plan, and the way that Vegas has it predicted to go, we could be looking at some really nice wins for you tonight. And obviously, I'm playing these myself. I've sent it to my VIP, and I'm sharing with you for free on the channel. So I would love for things to go great. And kind of explained why I like the plays, my breakdowns, and positive correlation, high implied total. Should be a fun game to watch, and let's hope we can win some money alongside having some fun watching it. So that's all for me in this one, guys. I'll show the tickets one more time, right? So ticket number 1, for this game, right? We're stacking up the passing and the receiving yards of the QB and the 2 wide receiver candidates in Worthy Mitchell on the Texas side, Odunze McMillan on the Washington side, right? And then ticket number 2, we're stacking up the fantasy score props, trying to capitalize on that upside of not only the receiving, the passing yards, but also the passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, count towards fantasy score as well. If these guys want to rush it in, the QBs and or the wide receivers on some some sneak play action, that'd be great for us as well. But that is all from me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell on your way out the door. And then once again, if you're looking to get access to every single one of my plays as soon as I place them, the VIP member package is going to be where it's at. That's linked below in the description. It is on patreon.com. I will comment it and pin it at the top of the comments as well. But hopefully I can hook you up with a lot of wins here on the channel for free throughout 2024. And then if you're winning and you're enjoying the content and you're like, this guy knows what he's talking about, I want more from him, there's a whole lot more value to be had over there in the Discord because I'm in there 24/7, sending those instant alerts, not only on Prizepicks, but all other apps as well. It's 2024. I'm really, really looking forward to. So thanks for tuning in. Wishing you all the best of luck tonight on your college football Prizepicks player props. And we will see you in the next one.